Time to go live. I guess we can't go on live on Twitter anymore.
Oh well.
Yep. So let's.
I know that the paranormal is real. Listen.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Paranormal Coffee Talk. I'm Crystal. That's Carol. We are tired. It has been a very busy week. We drove all the way up to Paragould, Arkansas last Thursday morning, and we were there until Sunday. We had an absolute blast. We got to see and meet so many awesome people. It was so much fun. The weather was great for us, so we had a blast. We did a little investigating in the hotel room. The Super 8 Motel used to be the Rustic Inn in Paragould and captured an EVP. We will get that out to you shortly. Other than that, it was just having fun and networking, meeting people. It was a lot of fun.
Being attacked by mosquitoes.
We got the mosquitoes, people. We're from the South, okay? The dirty South, the deep South. We are used to mosquitoes. Like, drink your blood for cocktails, drink your bug spray as a cocktail. They don't mind it. And I did not even know that Paragould, Arkansas, and the state of Arkansas had buzzard-sized mosquitoes. Like, they would drink a whole bottle of Jack Daniels.
You couldn't switch them off.
You couldn't
they
even
were
get
on
rid
you,
of them.
And you would do this, and they would just sit there and look at you like, "What are you doing?"
It was sticked on for dear life. I mean, it was insane. It was a lot of fun. Good evening, Miss Miranda. We had a great time. It really was. I will show you guys. We'll go to the beginning of this slide because I was looking through it. We had Scared City Presents Hiya Nation Paranormal Horror Show Part 2. We had so many awesome people. We had, there is Carol and myself outside of the fairgrounds. Yes, that's outside the ticket booth at the fairgrounds. And then we had our booth set up. We got to meet Geeks Paranormal there. They are absolutely, positively amazing. Loved meeting them and hanging out. She did an awesome job on the podcast exploring the paranormal. Spellbound Fish. We got to see Megan Fisher, and I have quite a few of her shirts. I think I got 3 now. She does amazing work. You guys go check out Spellbound Fish, and Megan has any type of shirt. She could probably even make it if you're looking for something. So make sure you guys go over to Spellbound Fish, give her a like and a follow. True Alpha. Roger Dunnigan did amazing work on all of our ads, all of our promotional for the event, and Huff Photo. Okay, so anybody Huff Photo, Brian Huff is absolutely one of the best photographers. And he actually goes around to different conventions, different events, those who are doing cosplay, things like that. And he sets up these photo booths and he takes professional photos. And when I'm saying professional, as you can see, we went in there not expecting to walk away with something this phenomenal, especially for the price. So if you guys are looking for a photographer for your events, make sure to check out Huff Photo. He is located in the Tennessee, Mississippi area over there where they all connect, Memphis. He works all those areas. So make sure you guys go give Huff Photos a follow and get with him. He's always got something going on. So I think he's booked out until the new year, but we will be back with him and getting something going in the Memphis area in the new year. And then we had Carl Albertson was there. He had his Wizards engraving. Absolutely phenomenal work. It was great to see him and finally meet him in person. We had Miss Cindy Johnson, her and her husband, both amazing authors. I felt like she wrote these books about Carol and us because it's about two female paranormal investigators who, it's great. You guys go get her books. You will not be disappointed. Go get both of their books. And then we had Nancy. Absolutely phenomenal. I do have videos of her tribute, Michael Jackson tribute that she did. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. We loved meeting Nancy, and she was actually in some of our photos, our tribe photos for the High Nation. And Haunted Souls Paranormal. I got my shirt on tonight. We actually swapped out shirts while we were there so that we could promote each other. So we got to see Dan and his daughter at Haunted Souls Paranormal. They were there with us. Amazing, amazing equipment. Awesome people. Had an absolute blast. And we just continued on. Like there were so many. Of course, Santiago was there. Santiago with his high self. Great guy. Love Santiago. He works really hard for all of us, all of the tribe, and we could not be more proud of how everything turned out. Great networking and a lot of fun. And then we had Kendra Souter. So if you guys have not met Kendra or read her books, go. And she is just an awesome person. We enjoyed finally getting to meet Kendra. She is just a sweetheart. Absolute sweetheart. She also was in our tribe photos as well. So, and then of course, Mr. Keith Age, all the way over from Louisville, Kentucky, to hang out with us. We had a blast. And anybody that knows Keith, it's never boring when Mr. Age's around. So we got to spend the weekend with him and the Mrs. Robin. It was great, a lot of fun. We definitely have to get some things planned out with Mr. Keith in the future. So yeah, and they also got Ghost Hunting Housewife shirts as well. So those will be sported out soon. What else do we have? Team shirts. If you have any team shirts that you would like to send Carol and I, we would be more than happy to wear them on the podcast. So get with us and yeah, we would be more than happy to support you guys. Paranormal Coffee Talk. We do have some space left for our sponsors. So we have level 1, 2, and 3. So make sure to check out our sponsor levels. If you would like to sponsor us, feel free to reach out and we will give you more information on that. So without further ado, our guest tonight, we are so excited to have her on with us. It is the great Kris Sumner. And I am going to go ahead and we are going to play her intro and then bring her on. Hi, Kris.
Hey, that's a great intro. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You see, I mean, I was gonna put your photo first, but Sally it called out to me, and I was like, okay, Sally's got to go first.
Well,
So
Sally is the star, right? I mean, and she's going to probably make an appearance here tonight. So
that's really why we
everybody,
all come here. It's for
it
Sally.
is.
I
It's
mean,
Sally's world. We're just living in it.
we're just living in
Yeah,
it. We're just
exactly.
existing in Sally's world.
She's sitting right here looking at me like, what are you doing?
Mhm. See, them ladies know.
She'll come over in a minute.
Yes. Hi, Susan. Hi, Crystal. We have so many awesome people who are jumping on here to chat with us. We have Jeremy Frank. Thank you, Louisiana Spirits. So we are so excited to have you. You have just this amazing amount of knowledge when it comes to the historical side of the paranormal. And because that's where our passion lies, is the historical aspect, having you on and talking a little bit about what it is you do, how you got started. And we've had Miranda on talking about the jail, but we'd like to hear from you on the jail and rugby and all of the fun things that we have up there in Tennessee.
Well, first of all, thank you all for having me on. I'm really excited about this conversation. And as you said, history is really the driving factor to everything that we do. So whether it's a location that we investigate or a location that we co-own, such as the historic Scott County Jail, which is where I'm sitting right now, history has to be the forefront, because without the history, there would be no paranormal. And so it really has been a culmination of learning about these historical places and then using the paranormal as a preservation mechanism for those locations. So whether it be something we investigate and that money goes to that preservation, or if it's something that we co-own, it's one of those things where the money from the paranormal goes back into those preservation efforts. And so that's very, very important to us. So as you said, my name is Christy. I'm from Soul Sisters Paranormal, and my business partner and I, Miranda Young, we met about 8 years ago now through the paranormal, and we decided to open what we call a true crime museum and a paranormal research center here in Tennessee. So that's the historic Scott County Jail, and we've also partnered with the historic village of Rugby. So we run all of their after dark paranormal programming there, which is an amazing partnership. We absolutely love that partnership. And then on the other side of things, like I said, I founded Soul Sisters Paranormal in 2013, and that's a paranormal investigation team that I have with my twin sister, and sometimes our younger sister and a few female family friends join in as well.
Wonderful. Yes, so busy, and it's you guys do such a phenomenal job. We had the honor to meet Miranda last year in Ozark, and she gave us the information on the jail and the museum, and we're like, oh, we got to get up there, and we still have not made this happen. We have to get this in stone before the new year, so we're definitely going to make that happen. It's been a long year so far, but
it has. As we were talking before the show, the fact that we're already in July is just it's mind blowing, right?
It really is.
All the things that we're doing, and I know that you all are staying busy, and Miranda and I, it's just a 2-person team here at the historic Scott County Jail and at Rugby. And then we also, the town of Huntsville allowed us to have the bank building, which is about
Yeah, that's what Miranda was saying.
200.
That's cool.
So we're actually going to be moving into that this week once we get our internet hooked up and established. So a lot going on, but it is one of those things that we're very proud of, and the fact that we get to play a part in preserving these buildings and making it available, not only for the paranormal, but also to keep the history alive for just general daytime tours or for the community. It's something that we're extremely proud of.
Definitely. And we'll save like our portion of that, because we'll be on with you guys tomorrow night. So we're just flopping one night to the next. So we'll save some of our chatter about some of the places we do for tomorrow night. But you've started the Soul Sisters Paranormal in 2013.
We did.
And so before 2013, where did it start for you? Where did the paranormal was like, I got to know more?
Well, my sisters and I, we've always had a belief in the paranormal. It's just one of those things that, my parents did a great job of kind of allowing us to determine our spiritual beliefs. I will say that I'm a Christian, but we always had, an understanding that something happens after this. So we've always had that fascination with the paranormal. In 2013, we had the opportunity to go to the West Virginia State Penitentiary. My mom is from Moundsville, West Virginia. That's her hometown. It's where she was born and raised. And so we were actually just up there on a girls' trip. We were taking a weekend because we all live in different parts of the country. We were just taking a weekend and meeting there in Moundsville just to hang out, really. And we had a family friend that sat on the board of the West Virginia State Penitentiary, and he says, while you're up here, why don't you just take one of your nights and investigate inside the jail and see if you can connect with our spirits. So we went to Walmart, bought some voice recorders, a couple of toy night vision cameras, and a couple of trigger items, and had a fascinating night. I mean, things that we could not explain.
Awesome.
Yeah. So noises, voices, footsteps, seeing things move in the shadows. So that really was the starting point, because after that, we wanted to, as best we could, bring a professional level into the paranormal. Kind of what we saw was lacking was, teams that actually wanted to put the history first and really showcase what these historic locations are about. And so that's why when you watch any of our videos, you'll see that the first 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the location, it's a deep dive into the historical narrative of those locations, because that is the driving factor. And then taking that history and trying to get paranormal responses based on that history.
Yes.
And what's kind of interesting about what we do, we all hold advanced degrees. So we have 2 PhDs, 2 lawyers, and a master's on the team at that point. And since COVID, it's really just kind of come back to my sister and I, my twin sister, and we both hold PhDs. So we come at this from a very research-minded direction. Not to say that other teams don't, and I'm not boasting and saying that we're better than any other team. It's just we have a research background, and that's kind of what we wanted to put to use with regard to the paranormal investigations that we do.
And that's awesome. And, it's because, you have that research, especially with law. And, it brings a lot, because I tell even my kid, when it comes down to it, as an actual historian, I have a master's degree in history. It's one thing to go out and to be able to research, and it's another to know where to research and where to get the information that you need. People laugh all the time. Like, you're like the FBI, Crystal, you'll find anything about anyone at anywhere. Just give me 20 minutes, and I can call some of my people. Just give me 20 minutes. And that was one of the best things about living in the DC area, was I had access to archives and Smithsonian's databases that most people in the US don't have, except for in the state so that they're in. So it was wonderful to be able to experience that and to take my my research to a whole new level.
And I think and I absolutely think that's important, right? Because as paranormal investigators, we're already starting from a platform of being socially different, right? So a lot of people think of us as a subculture. And so to be able to have an intelligent conversation and say, listen, I'm not somebody who's woo-woo and bouncing off the walls crazy. I can have an intelligent conversation about this. I can back this up with research. And I think that's important. It's more so, a deep dive into the historical places that we visit in order to preserve those places. And it's less of going in for likes, going in for subscribers, going in for a quick live just to say, hey, I've been here, and then walking away and not have any connection with those places.
We're there for a purpose.
100%.
Right,
And
yes.
that's exactly it. It's when you have a connection with a place, whether that be a battlefield, or whether that be a jail, or whether that be your local coffee shop, when you have that connection. And I honestly feel like, and I know, we've talked with Miranda before about this, is, when you have that connection with a location and you've worked hard to build the trust with the living and those who have passed over or passed on, you've got a major connection to those locations.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
I feel
absolutely.
like that helps the spirits want to communicate with those who are willing to give what they can to help
Mhm.
save their history, the location, the town, you know. They're like, well, we spent so much time in here in the tank that, you know,
Yeah,
this is ours.
and you're right, and it's not just the connection on the paranormal level, right? I mean, the locations that we go to, we've actually formed friendships with the docents and the owners of these locations as well, which again I think is very important because it builds that community, it builds that trust, right? I mean, Greg O'Brien from Fort Mifflin, Henry Lee from Gilchrist County Jail, Donald Martin from Attila County Jail and the Old Southern Funeral Home. I mean, these places are important, and to be able to have that community that we can build off of and make everybody aware that these locations exist and need to be preserved, I think that's very important also. I mean, I became a docent at the Ma Barker House because I fell in love with it so much. And I think that is, to me, that's what's different between a paranormal investigator and a YouTuber and a ghost hunter. I think there has to be those distinctions, right?
Definitely.
We have people come into the jail all the time saying, "Oh, I saw this viral video about the jail, are these things really here?" And they only see it in the context of that YouTuber or that TikToker for the brief 45 seconds or 30 seconds they put a reel together. They don't look at the entire history that we have here in jail. So I think to be able to have that connection with all of the locations that we investigate, to me, is extremely important.
Definitely. And we've talked about this with quite a few people because we do have our locations that we spend more time at than others. We don't put claim on them, but we do spend a lot of time there.
Right.
And we bring in people from other states to investigate those locations with us. And we found out that you can tell even when you start talking to the historical societies that you work with, they trust you and they call you if they need help with anything.
Right.
And that's building trust for the humans that are still alive to tell us, you know, we trust you to go out and help us raise these funds. We trust that you are going to help us get what we need for these facilities and these locations to continue on the history of them. And that, honestly, we take such pride in the work that we do in these historical locations. Driving through the state park that we do a lot of work in, we're like, oh, they got paved roads. They got paved roads. We helped them pave a road.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, Ernie and Denise Pack from Duffield, from the Haunted Fort Duffield, right?
Yeah.
The entire reason that paranormal program exists is because the park needed funds to get these things done, and they didn't have enough daytime visitors. So they said, let's do a paranormal program. And because of that, they were able to get the funds to build a road, to build gazebos, to really upkeep this battlefield now, or this fort. And so to your point, that's exactly what the paranormal does.
Yeah,
That's
it's so
it.
exciting. Every time you go out there and you see something new, it's like, it makes you
Yeah,
feel
it's like
good.
we have a new hut out at the old town site. And you've probably been Spanish Fort, Alabama, down near Mobile.
Yeah.
And that's the fort that we've been working with this year. And we get there and it's like a new hut's been built, a new, recreation of the town's been built. They've added something new to the battlefield. And it's just amazing to see where, our volunteer work, because we take no funds from it at all. We go and give 150% to the state park, and any funds that we were to get or donations all go straight back to that state park. And to see that the history is being kept. They do Delta tours on the boat and tell the history of the park and the battles that took place there, the Battle of Mobile. It's great to be able to continue hearing that things are going for the good and seeing the differences.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, and I did a study earlier this year on historic preservation through paranormal tourism, such as Williams is saying here, and that study was extremely telling. And people don't understand that the after dark tourism, the paranormal tourism, these things go to help preserve these buildings. I know we take a lot of gripe sometimes about the fee that we charge here to investigate at the jail. Well, but you got to look at the fact that we have to pay electric, we have to pay liability insurance, we have to pay to keep the roofs up, we have to pay the water and the sewer and all of that. And Miranda and I, we're not doing this for the love of money. Believe me, that is not why we're in this business, because you don't do it for that.
Because a lot of it even comes out of our own pocket. Like, we pay for the glow necklaces. We pay for, we donate so much to be able to help and to continue to help.
Yeah. So, there's so many facets of the paranormal that people just don't really understand or even conceive of sometimes. And so that's why it's very refreshing to speak to people such as yourselves and who you have in your chat room here, because I think they understand that that's the reason why we're doing this.
Definitely.
And that's,
this is the photographer we were talking about earlier of photos. So absolutely phenomenal. We love Brian's work, and we're going to work on that in the new year, getting him and his wife together. But he also has he's had a paranormal team. We talked to him about it this past weekend, and paranormal tourism is like, people go, especially for us, like, we know, because we've got New Orleans, we've got Savannah, we've got all of these places that are completely filled with ghost hunts, with guided ghost tours. It's everywhere. You could literally type in haunted Savannah and it's going to bring you 100 different tour guides that will take you on the tour. And it pays, because people are either really, really invested in the paranormal and they want to get into a location, or they want to know the history of a location. And I will say, people are very curious, and it definitely pays to have a person, individual, or team that knows what they're doing and knows how to put that together and to be able to make it all come together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to your point, Crystal, since doing the research on this for the past year, after dark tourism is a $30 billion a year industry, right? So you have people, especially since COVID, they're not just looking for paranormal, they're looking for unique, and they're looking for personal. And that's why what we do and what other locations are doing is so important, right? Because you're offering them those two facets of that experience. So I'll actually be probably doing a live or a talk on this sometime soon, where I will summarize all the things that I found from that research study, because I do think that, some historic locations that are shying away from this really need to kind of take a deeper look and say, these tourist dollars, somebody's going to get them. And so why can't other museums or historical societies take advantage of that? But unfortunately, you've got and not to sound derogatory, but an old guard mentality where they want the status quo to remain the same. They don't want to think outside the box, yet they tell me that they're hemorrhaging for money. And so if you're hemorrhaging for money, then you need to look at something a little bit more unique, and you need to think outside the box. And that's what after dark tourism and paranormal tourism can give you. So that's one thing that I've become very passionate about, because this is an example right here, the building that I'm sitting in, right? I mean, this building was sitting vacant since 2008. So what have we done? We've come in, we've established a museum here. Miranda and I have worked very hard. We're everything from the janitors to the CEOs of this business.
And it's got heat and air.
It's got heat and air, but it's more than that, right? What we've done is we've saved this building. We have taken the load off of the taxpayer, because taxpayers had to pay for the upkeep of this building from 2008 until 2021. We've relieved the taxpayer of that burden. We pay the town a monthly rent for the building, so now they're getting some revenue, and we've taken over all of the liability of this building. So there are a lot of facets that people really consider with what we do, and I think other locations can benefit from that. If myself or somebody can get in front of them and say, you need to consider this, because it is a revenue generating situation that can help you preserve your location.
Yeah,
definitely.
We run into it a lot. First thing they hear, paranormal, No,
Yeah.
it's sad.
And that's why I don't start with that. I never start with the
Yeah.
paranormal. When Miranda and
Yeah.
I, we spent about 6 months putting together a business plan for the town of Huntsville with regard to this building. We had a very cohesive PowerPoint and Prezi slide presentation put together, and we did not bring in the paranormal until like slide
Very
14 or
end.
15.
Yeah.
You don't
Yep.
bring it in. What you bring in is the fact that you can help preserve this building, and you're going to do it through unique mechanisms. And
And
this is what we can offer you.
that's how we got in at the state parks that we've
Yep.
gotten into, is by, you know, and making sure that we continue to do what we say we're going to do, and
Absolutely.
continue to help the way that we have continued to help. If you go in there with the paranormal mentality that this is all about the ghosts, this is all about ghost hunts, their state parks are going to go, nah. But when
Yeah.
you start
When they
letting
see our
them know
name,
that there's,
it's like, oops.
yeah, and
Our
it's
name.
really funny to see when they see our names, but to be able to explain to them when we start talking that we are still historians. We are
Yes.
still certified genealogists. We can still help if someone comes up to us and asks us a question about the property. We can be able to give them a definite answer that we were able to find the history of this. We are able to tell the actual history of these locations and do it, you know, with like our eyes closed and our hands behind our back. So
Yep. So
that's
it's
the fun
definitely,
part.
yeah, and it's, it is. It's a fascinating field to be associated with, as Miranda says. It is the economic driver of what we do. But if you walk into our building right now just to do a day tour, you wouldn't know that we have anything to do with paranormal until you're going up to the second floor.
Yep.
We don't mention the paranormal. We don't mention anything about ghosts or haunted until you start going up the second floor. We have a couple articles that are hanging on the wall. And then we have a wall where every team that comes in, we give them a set of handcuffs and they sign their team name, and we put them on this wall so you can see how many teams have been here. That's the first indication that we do anything paranormal here. If you go to our website, yes, we have a paranormal tab on the website. And if you need any website help, go to Miranda, because she is a whiz at marketing and website design. But if you go to our website, unless you see that paranormal tab, it's not in your face. It's not one of these, where you go in and, I survived the historic Scott County Jail. It's not like that. You don't see blood. You don't see gore. We don't even have a T-shirt that said "I survived." It's none of that.
That's it. And
That's
it's like that with our battlefield and with the poly jail. We've worked hard. Like even last year with the restoration, we're working on restoration that goes with the cabin that's right next door to the jail. It continues to be, it's not just the one location. Like you're going to have other locations that are surrounding your main location that are going to need help. And that's when you start expanding that out. And it's fun and we enjoy it. We are able to, network with a lot of great people, and it's just fascinating to see the changes and to be able to go from, not having nothing but a dirt road to drive on through the battlefield and now actually having a paved road. And it's great. It's a lot of fun. It's real hot though in the South and a lot of mosquitoes.
And again, it's one of those things that I'm absolutely fascinated by, and a little bit quizzical in the fact that more locations aren't taking advantage of this. And so that's kind of been my driving factor with what I've been doing for the last couple of months with this. So hoping to get more speaking engagements on that to help bring more awareness to the fact that these programs can help you bring in paranormal or preservation revenue.
And that's it. And we will definitely be keep spreading the word around the After Dark tourism. And, some of our events, even we'd love to have you down and be able to talk with you guys about that, even with some of the people like Southern Mississippi. And, there's a lot of people who are still not catching on, but there are those that are starting to catch on the tourism for, even after dark, the history tours or the, the sweets and treats history tours. Love those. Like going to eat some cake and listening to the history.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Love it.
I was going to say they need to come down and listen to Harriet Outlaw.
Oh yeah, Harriet's great.
She is awesome. She does a little 30 minutes before
About 30 minutes she speaks at our events.
Speak about her. And the greatest storyteller, everybody was just like, they were, what's
They
next?
were like glued to her, like
we wanted it to end. We're like, hey y'all, we got other things to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
But people are really, when you have that great storyteller as well, like having a good storyteller and a good historian to tell the stories or the folklore behind these and how the folklore came to be. That's big in my mind. Is people don't understand that folklore came to be because of the telephone game. It came to be because this person told this person, told this person, told this person. And in small town USA, they're the ones that get the telephone game better than anybody else.
You're absolutely right. And, to your point, the history is so important, and telling it correctly is so important as well. That's why I'm really proud of the Soul Sisters videos. One of the last ones that we did was the USS North Carolina. And I love that location. I absolutely fell in love with that battleship. And so when I put together the history on that video, I actually had people contact me and said, I visited that ship so many times and never knew some of the things that you put in that video. And so that, to me, even forget the paranormal, right?
Yeah.
That to me is so incredible, because I think it's so important. And so that, to your point, that's what I absolutely love to do, is to tell that
We
story.
actually have the clip here for the USS North Carolina, the EVP.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and
hear a minute more.
I said it.
We
Okay.
can put the FLIR out.
just watch your arm.
Yeah, so let me set this up real quick. So if I'll set it up, and then we can play it maybe one more time. So it was just my twin sister and I inside the USS North Carolina. And sorry, I got a cat here. And so, this battleship was phenomenal, right? It was commissioned in 1937. It was in operation from 1941 to 1947. And it saw every Pacific theater action in World War II. And then it went to the scrapyard where it languished up until 1961. And then the entire state of North Carolina rallied to save this battleship. And so now it's a museum. It is the World War II memorial for the state of North Carolina. And so it's just an amazing ship. So my twin sister and I were the only two people on the ship this night. And as we were setting up all of our equipment, as we were going through the hatchways, they're kind of narrow. And as we're carrying our boxes, we just kept hitting our arms to the point where it's like, it almost became a running joke. It's like, oh man, I hit my elbow again, or I hit the box again, or whatever. And so during our investigation, we were going into the medical ward. And so as we come around the corner, I say, do you want to sit in here? Maybe we can put the FLIR out. And that's when this man's voice was captured.
All right, let's play this again.
Do you want to sit in here a minute more? Yeah. We can put the FLIR out.
Just watch your arm. That is amazing. We're gonna play it one more time.
Do you want to sit in here a minute more? Yeah. We can put the FLIR out.
And to know that they were watching you, you know what I mean? And we're able to give you an intelligent response to something. And that's something when we're investigating, we don't just go off of, there's a REM pod going off over here. There's a flashlight going off over here. And it's intermittent, it's hit or miss. It's never coincides. We want something that's going to continue to give us an intelligent response, or be able to coincide. If you're turning this REM pod on, can you make this device across the room light up as well? Can you give me a response on the recorder, something to go along with it, so you're not just getting one thing that's going off over here that could be due to environmental factors of things.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So it's amazing to be able to know that they were intelligent enough they had watched you, bump your arms or your elbows, because anybody who's investigated or even toured a ship in the historical aspect of it. I'm a Navy brat, so I spent a lot of time on ships. You don't have elbow room. You are just straight down these hallways and straight through. And I've done a lot of different work with battleships and things. And, a lot of people don't really understand that when you're investigating on a battleship, you're always going to get really high EMF readings when you get down into the belly of the ship, due to the electromagnetic field that roams the waters that connect to the ship. And that's why you get a high EMF reading in the belly of a ship. I talked to somebody about that a few weeks ago. I'm like, you're gonna get a high EMF reading at the belly of the ship. Never gonna fail. So, but we definitely I love anything that is military related. That's, being a military spouse, being a military brat. That's what I grew up with, or the forts. And, but we really do love our jails as well. Like, I don't know what it is about the jail portion of it. But we do. So you went to, and you actually spent a lot of time over in Mississippi at the Adela jail, county jail. And
County jail.
And it, we've got an EVP from here too. So tell us a little bit about that location. We've seen it. We've done some research on it, but you spent a lot of time there back before COVID, right?
Correct. So Southern Paranormal, Donald Martin and Doyle, they had two locations, the old Southern Funeral Home and the Atala County Jail. And the Atala County Jail, it's a small county jail. From 1957 to 2016, it was in operation as the county jail. And then when they closed it, they, kind of left it vacant, kind of like what they did here with our jail. And, it was the site of the portable electric chair when they had the portable electric chair. So they did take it to that location several times. So there is verified confirmation that there were some inmates that sat in the electric chair there at the Atala County Jail. So it had a lot of history. And again, so when we investigated there, it was just my sister and I, just Jenny and I. And the way we investigate, we set up stationary voice recorders and cameras in various cells or locations inside a location. And so we were sitting in one cell, and down the main corridor, they had an evidence room that is reported to be pretty active. So we had a night vision camera and a voice recorder in that room. So this clip is actually going to be a split screen. You're going to see Jenny and I in the cell at one end, and then at the far end, got the response on that voice recorder. Even though it was so loud, we audibly heard it in the moment. It was probably, I don't know, 60, 70 feet away. And you captured it. The voice recorder in the evidence room is what really captured the EVP.
That's awesome. Let's go ahead and roll that. Oh, let me start it over, because it must start in the middle. I listened to it like 5 times.
We were watching it earlier.
Pete.
Peter, your best friend? Who's your best friend? Peter, your best friend? Who's your best friend? Peter, your best friend?
And to be able to hear it as well, and you can tell when you were like, it almost caught you like, wow, we heard that audibly with our own ears. It wasn't mixed in white noise like happens quite often, but a great AEVP that you heard.
Yeah. And like I said, Jenny and I are the only two people in the building. And I actually thought that it said Peter So that's when I said, Peter's your best friend. But when we listened, it's more clear as Pete rather than Peter. But when we heard it in the moment, I thought it said Peter.
Yeah, it was good. I heard it.
Yeah,
And
it's a good EVP.
What'd that say?
Yeah, Crystal, we heard it in the moment. So like I said, we were probably about 50, 60 feet away. We were on the complete opposite ends of this long hallway that had cells on either side. So yeah, we heard it audibly, like it was probably standing in the hall rather than in the cell. But the voice recorder that was in that evidence room was what captured it the loudest.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And what a great location. We have heard so many amazing things.
It really is.
Hopefully it happens, and to where we can, maybe even in the next few years, something will happen to where we can get over there, even just to take a picture and, say we were there. Such a great location. And we've seen, actually the video evidence that you guys had there. And we, a few other teams had also been there.
Miranda was there.
Yeah,
Miranda was there. Because that was actually an interesting weekend because we went down with Miranda. So Miranda, it was a 2-night investigation. So we investigated the jail on Friday, and Miranda investigated the funeral home on Friday, and then we switched for the Saturday where we investigated the funeral home and Miranda did the jail. So a lot of great teams had investigated there. I'm not sure if they're still allowing paranormal investigations. I don't think they are. But if you can find a way to get in, it's a great location.
Yeah, I'm going to keep trying. Maybe we will. And if not, we'll, just respect the history of it and just be able to say we went by, we were able to get a picture and, be able to continue to share the history of these locations. Because I think that's very important as well. When you go to these locations, it doesn't always have to be about investigating, but also making sure that you just take a moment and respect it and enjoy it in that moment, because a lot of places are being torn down. You're never going to get to experience some of these places again.
A lot of that happened in Louisiana. It's sad.
And it's happening so often now. And then some places are completely stopping paranormal investigations altogether. Those places that have, as long as I can remember, allowed investigations, like the Samuel Mudd House up in Maryland. We were able to investigate up until a couple years ago, and now the Mudd House is no longer allowing any type, not even on the grounds. And it's because of those that come in and and don't respect the place. So just taking the respect when you go with you, and keeping that, take what your mama raised you to, like your mama didn't raise you to act like that. Yeah.
Mom,
You did it alone. It was creepy, and the spirit responses were intelligent. I can imagine. So I find that we'll talk more about the intelligent responses more tomorrow night, but I do find that there are more intelligent conversations that we have in the jail, than we do in, some of the other locations. Just, we don't spend that much time talking to ourselves.
Yeah,
I think got something they want to tell us.
I think jails are absolutely just a wealth of, one, history, and then two, a paranormal activity. I think just by their nature, right? Especially the one that I'm sitting in right now. I mean, from 1904 to 2008, just the history that it saw, right? From murders to suicides to natural deaths to lynchings and all that was in between. And it just has a story to tell. All of these spirits just have a story to tell, and they're very willing to share them.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, so you guys also had, some more of the famous people that spent some time there. Ernest Tubb, wasn't Ernest Tubb?
Yes, for one night he was here. Ernest Tubb, the country singer, he was here.
Yeah. Loved Ernest Tubb and Loretta Lynn. Like, those are my up there.
Yes,
love them.
Booked in here for one night.
Hey, it's probably all it took. He's like, all right, I ain't gonna do that again. So yeah, it's a great location. We're really excited to be able to get up there to Tennessee and not only do the jail and do some history on that. I love that you guys are primary focus on the history of these locations. And I've sent quite a few teams over to Rugby this year to do some investigating and some research in the historical part of it. It's absolutely beautiful. Because I remember it was actually last fall. It was one of the ones that Miranda released last year when she was doing her live show. When I think it was last year. She was doing them live. Yeah. And then we were able to interact. I loved that. We loved being able, Kris is like, I have no idea. Technical difficulties, but it was so much fun because it was raw and it was real. Yeah. And that was the best part of it was seeing the real and the raw, like, okay, we've got somebody that's running 100 miles over here back and forth and, but still being able to capture the beautiful part of Rugby. And
it's a great location.
It's absolutely stunning.
And we do a lot of guided ghost hunts there. And so if you go to Historic Rugby After Dark, the Facebook page, we actually just posted a really cool piece of video from a guided ghost hunt that we did there. It was a tripwire activity. So we've been posting more of those. So if you're interested in anything that we're capturing to see if Rugby does have some spirited activity, you can go to the Historic Rugby After Dark page.
And they also have accommodations there in Rugby as well now, right?
Correct. Yep. So several of the original houses that were built in 1880, from 1880 to 1883, you can actually lodge there. And so if you're interested in investigating Rugby and you do want to lodge there, which I recommend that you do, just get in touch with us and either through Historic Rugby After Dark or the Historic Scott County Jail page, and we can walk you through what you need to do to lodge there.
Yeah, it's definitely, we were looking at the lodging and I mean, especially anybody who has looked at Airbnbs anywhere around, the Huntsville area in Tennessee, the town of Rugby, there are not many accommodations, but to get the beautiful historical accommodations in Rugby, and it's still such a short drive over to historic Scotts County Jail Museum and soon to be the bank area as well, to be able to get and experience the history and the haunts of all of these locations. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you can't beat the price. You really can't.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually cheaper than a lot of the Airbnbs and they're haunted, right? There's actually haunted claims, and we verified them in most of the houses there. So Pioneer Cottage, Percy Cottage, the Newberry House sleeps 14. The Percy Cottage sleeps 5. Pioneer Cottage sleeps 8. So it really is beneficial in the fact that you're right there to do the investigation. Plus you're sleeping at a house that has activity. So you really can't beat it.
See, Crystal, we're going to need a whole week, not a week.
I know.
We can accommodate you for a week.
And Crystal Groth here, love the kitty. Yes, that is Sally.
She's impatient. She's like, what about me?
You can actually get Sally merch as well. Make sure to follow the Historic Scotts County Jail page because you never know what Sally will be wearing. I do have information that there's going to be some really cute pics coming up very soon.
Yep.
That was dropped in our ear. So we love being able to see Sally's costumes. And outfits. You don't know what Sally's going to wear. Could be a Christmas tree. Could be a Ghost Hunting Housewife shirt.
Could be
never know what Sally's going to have on. And yes, Miranda posted historyhighwayhaunts.com.
She meant the Historic Scott Co. Jail. She didn't mean to type it twice. So historyhighwayandhaunts.com will take you to either Rugby
up there now too.
Yeah. And then the second one, or Historic Scotts County Jail. And both of those will have information on the historic town of Rugby and Huntsville area where the historic Scotts County Jail Museum is. And I know you guys heard Miranda talking about the museum, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. And they already had quite a few changes this past winter, where they extended the hours for us. So you were able to do that. Are you guys going to be doing that again this year?
We
extending
will.
the hours?
Yeah. And once we move over to the bank building, we're going to move all of our ticketing and our gift shops merchandise over to the bank building. So that's going to actually open up some more rooms here inside the jail that you'll have full investigation over when you do an investigation. So it'll just open up more room for paranormal investigators.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Lots of
yeah.
fun. See, we're coming up just in time. And they do. So anybody that wants to go to either of these locations, even if you have any questions for Dr. Christie or Miranda or about the historic Scotts County Jail, any of these locations, make sure to reach out to them. They have a wealth of knowledge. If you would like to talk further, Dr. Christie, tell them where they can reach you at and where your links are, how they can get a hold of you, other than these two websites that I posted.
So if you're interested in Soul Sisters Paranormal, it's soulsistersparanormal.com. You can watch all of the videos that we put out about all the locations that we've gone to. So some of the clips that you saw here will obviously have the extended videos for those. So soulsistersparanormal.com, also Soul Sisters Paranormal on YouTube, or Soul Sisters Paranormal on Facebook. For the historic Scott County Jail, it's as Miranda put up there, it's historicscottcojail.com or historyhaunts.com, and that's really all of our information right there.
Definitely. And they also on both you can get great merch, and I will tell you that their merch is phenomenal. I do have a Soul Sisters Paranormal shirt that I ordered
I love my shirt. It is so
was
soft.
it, Christy?
Yep.
Yeah, and they are so great. I love the designs that
Thank you.
they all have, like both sides, the historic Scotts County Jail and Soul Sisters and Ghost Biker. Like we got a lot of merch. So
We're collectors of
definitely
We appreciate that.
We love them. So we're gonna keep buying our merch.
We appreciate
and
that.
sporting our merch gear from our friends up in Tennessee. So
Thank you. We do appreciate that.
definitely. We it's been great having you on, Christy, and being able to chat with you about the historical after dark tourism and some of the just few of the places that you've got to explore and research and investigate. It's great to be able to see that there are others that are like us that are there for the preservation and the history of these locations. So if you guys ever need anything, you know how to reach us. We can get things going. So
We thank you very much, and I appreciate your time tonight.
all right. Thank you guys so much. It's been wonderful. Until next time, well, you guys be safe, and we will see you on the next episode of Paranormal Coffee Talk.
Thank you, everybody.